national flag is a lovely scene with beautiful colors, red, gold, and green. With a black star in the center, representing the freedom of Africa. Ghana, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We'll be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day. Ghana, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We'll be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day. Ghana, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We'll be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day. This day will never be forgotten. The 6th of March, 1957. When the Goko successfully get their independence officially. Ghana, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We will be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day.
The battle has ended. And thus, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
He endeavored continually to bring us freedom and liberty. Ghana.
The Progress Party supports wholeheartedly a policy for the Ghananization of the economy of Ghana.
National flag is a lovely scene with beautiful colors, red, gold, and green.
The PMP says no to scarcity. The PMP says no to indignities. The PMP says no to humiliation. The PMP says no to all that has been negative in our national life over the last 30 years.
We'll be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day. Ghana, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We'll be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day. This day will never be forgotten. The 6th of March, 1957. When the Goko successfully get their independence officially. Ghana, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim.
Wait a minute. When we win, I want the victory to be for every Ghanaian, no matter which party they are in.
He endeavored continually to bring us freedom and liberty. Ghana, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We will be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day. The national flag is a lovely scene with beautiful colors, red, gold, and green. With a black star in the center, representing the freedom of Africa. Ghana, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We'll be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day.
The past 2 years or so, about 30 women, 5 women have been killed, and that's not the place of the pulpit. The police are there. That has got some very bad police, and the sense of Samoa is a lawyer, senior lawyer. But when it comes to the Constitution, in the Constitution, we are in a position to tell it. What the Electoral Commission is doing is in accordance with the Constitution. There's nothing wrong about it at all.
Forgotten. The 6th of March 1957, when the Go-Go successfully get their independence officially. Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We will be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day.
From our forces, for Hopra, so many hundred Odumatwana, Sasha Kumayan. What is that thing? Yeah, but sister, no. Wakata no, Wakata no more. One massacre me, one massacre me, one massacre me.
Our flag is a lovely scene with beautiful colors, red, gold, and green, with a black star in the center representing the freedom of Africa.
Let everybody get up early on Sunday and go and vote. And vote for a better Ghana. Vote for a better man. Vote for prosperity for all. And vote for equal opportunities for all. And let the people of Ghana reclaim Ghana. May God bless you all. Thank you.
This day will never be forgotten. The 6th of March 1957, when the Go-Go successfully get their independence officially. Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We will be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day.
Atami John Mama and DC double. Atami say NDC double. John Mama and NDC.
Freedom and liberty. Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We will be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day.
I am neither an Abudu nor an Andami. I am an Abu Dhabi.
With a black star in the center representing the freedom of Africa. Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We'll be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day. Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We'll be jolly, merry, and gay. The 6th of March,
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. Bet Saver. Here's Kwame and Yao. After hours of planning, both have locked in the same perfect multi-bet. Big win for United, over 1.5. And both teams to score in the London Derby. But who could have picked Leicester over City? Or a high-scoring game at the Bridge? There's nothing worse than having your perfect multi-bet missing. But there's nothing better than having it saved. Bet Saver. Win, even if your bet misses.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kelkit Toothpaste. Wow. I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger. Chicky, chicky, whiter. Chicky, chicky, stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel Kids. Happy smile.
Look around. Home also need a makeover. Oh, mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Matching furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just the breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
a table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone, feel it, know it.
Fire pomudi ni agubi. Kana fueni aji. If we say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice.
Me de go me jollof mu. Ni mi still ahodoma. E ma ne dance.
Darling, the barbecue they go on.
Sankofa natural spices. And one you use 100% natural.
Adofo, mamu a huge mistake. Sankofa natural spices. FDA
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Attention all farmers, are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP and Iricor brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A. K-Cup Equiafo Ajinkwa, and the Irie Cup with cocoa blends, palm blend, and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose A-Cup, K-Cup, and Irie Cup organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by Cocoa Board, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. Bet safer.
Excuse me, sir.
Hello.
Please, next time, can you put it in a dustbin?
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'll not do that again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Girl, how are you? I've really missed you.
I've missed you too.
So fabulous. I know, right?
Thank you. Auntie Naya.
Yes, dear.
Uncle Kofi.
Yes, dear.
All you've been teaching me about sanitation, I've been teaching my friends at school, and it has been absolutely great.
Really? Wow. That's a great impact you're making now.
Sure.
Keep it up, girl.
Okay.
Sure.
Auntie Naya.
Yes, dear.
I need to tell you something.
Go ahead.
If we want to be successful as a people, we need to be aware of the importance of sanitation.
That's true.
That's true. You're right, Amma. You're right. That's true. Naya, do you know sanitation is so important and crucial in our society?
Yes, Kofi, and I thank God for K Sanitation IQ, which you can also just say KSIQ. It is an important show that you don't need to miss it.
Kids Sanitation IQ. That's a great show. I understand the show has been designed for the kids to educate the public on some special sanitation categories.
I know, right? And I learned they will also educate the public on sanitation for environmental and community development.
I also understand they would educate the public on sanitation for educational development.
Wow.
Yeah.
Education, you say?
Oh, God.
Wow.
Right.
It is amazing. They also have sanitation for health development.
Oh, health
and
development.
Sanitation for corporate.
Corporate and health, Nana.
Don't play.
This one will intrigue you. I understand this kit will educate the public on sanitation that benefits the needy.
The
Isn't
needy,
it
you
amazing?
say?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Isn't it amazing?
It is amazing.
Oh, God.
Don't miss this
You
show.
don't have to miss the Kids Sanitation IQ show.
To participate in this contest, please call 0209 300 300, 0209 300 300 for an audition. Don't miss the KSIQ show. Be there.
The story of Ghana's independence as the first country sub-Sahara to achieve this feat from British colonial rule has many strands to it. At the end of the Second World War, the Allies were successful and Adolf Hitler had been vanquished. The Americans generally preferred a policy to release colonial territory back to the natives. The British had a system that kept decolonization as a sure option. Ghana, then the Gold Coast, was ripe and ready for this experiment. Its population was sufficiently educated, its society was modern, and the Gold Coast was rich. Yes, by 1945, the Gold Coast produced 2/3 of global cocoa. But the story goes back to the 13th century, and in this film, we will tell you the whole story, the ups, the downs, the victories, and the successes of Ghana's independence struggle.
The West African country of Ghana, formerly the Gold Coast, gained independence from British colonial rule in 1957, but the story of Ghana's self-determination began centuries before that. The partitioning of the Gold Coast between the British and the Dutch occurred in 1872. In that year, the Dutch Gold Coast became a possession of the British Empire. Prior to that, the Portuguese had occupied the coast of Elmina by erecting the Elmina Castle in 1482. The Portuguese remained for 160 years, until 1642. The British, however, held the territory for 85 years. The Gold Coast endured European invasion for 475 years, in total from 1482 to 1957.
We are a people descended from forebears who have fought historic battles and endured heroic struggles through time for freedom and dignity and justice. Our coat of arms boldly announces that we value freedom and justice.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing the whole affairs.
This Ghana will be defined by integrity, sovereignty, a common ethos, discipline, and shared values. It is one where we aim to be masters of our own destiny, where we mobilize our own resources for the future, breaking the shackles of the Goddesberg colonial economy and the mindset of dependency, bailouts, and extraction. It is a Ghana beyond aid.
Whereas the Portuguese and the Dutch were unsuccessful in exporting their languages to the colony, the British had early success with language. This culminated in the signing of the first agreement that legitimized British imperial rule. It was the Bond of 1844, signed on the 6th of March, 110 years prior to independence.
The Bond of 1844, the basis of British jurisdiction in the Gold Coast. Whereas power and jurisdiction have been exercised for and on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen of Great Britain and Ireland, within diverse countries and places adjacent to Her Majesty's forts and settlements on the Gold Coast, we chiefs of countries and places so referred to, adjacent to such forts and settlements, do hereby acknowledge that power and jurisdiction, and declare that the first objects of law are protection of individuals and property. Human sacrifices and other barbarous customs, such as panniering, are abominations contrary to law. Murders, robberies, and other crimes and offences will be tried and inquired before the Queen's judicial officers and the chiefs of the district, molding the customs of the country to the general principles of British law. Done at Cape Coast Castle before His Excellency the Lieutenant Governor on this 6th day of March in the year of our Lord, 1844.
Well, the Bond of 1844 was probably the first formal grant of power to the colonial government then to exercise jurisdiction within certain coastal areas. I mean, a much smaller area than the then Gold or what emerged as the Gold Coast, among some certain fancy chiefs, you know, including, if I may say so, a great-grandfather of mine, Nana Otu of Abra. Probably more important for present-day purposes is the date on which the agreement was reached, the site of 6th March, which was later to be taken as Independence Day.
In the year of 1850, 6 years after the Bond of 1844 was executed, the Gold Coast became a separate dependency of the British Crown. Separate, that is, from other West African territories.
An ordinance was enacted to establish a legislative council for the Gold Coast, executive council and legislative council. So in a sense, the history goes back to 1850. At first, the governor had only 2 other members in the council, but gradually the scope of the council expanded. Of course, the governor was nominating other people from the Gold Coast.
That meant the governor was directly responsible to London. The Legislative Council, so set up, introduced into the Gold Coast in 1852 the policy of taxation under the leadership of Governor Major S.H. Hill. The purpose for the task was thought to be reasonable and necessary, that in consideration of advantages of protection, natives should contribute to support the government. It was decided that the poll tax would be the most productive, least burdensome, and most equitable. The proceeds from the taxes were to be applied to the public good in education of the people, in general improvement and extension of the judicial system, and to create greater facilities for internal communication and increase medical aid. All these were to be done after such deductions towards payments of stipends to the staff of the Crown and other expenses by or for the Governor-General. The 70 local signatories were led by George Finn Aggrey, Chief of Cape Coast.
The African unofficial members nominated to serve on the Legislative Council: James Bannerman, Merchant and Civil Commandant of Accra; Lieutenant Governor George Kuntu Blankson, Merchant of Cape Coast; Robert Hutchison, Merchant of Cape Coast; Francis Chapman Grant, Merchant of Cape Coast; Samuel Collins Brew, Merchant of Anomabo; George Cleland, Merchant of Accra and Divisional Chief of Jamestown; William Hutchison, Merchant of Cape Coast; John Mensah Saba, Merchant of Anomabo and Cape Coast; James Harry Chitham, Merchant of Cape Coast; Chief John Vanderpoy, Merchant of Accra and Divisional Chief of Usher Town; Thomas Hatton Mills, Barrister of Accra.
By 1868, the chiefs and the people were increasingly dissatisfied with the political direction of the British imperial authority, and the educated few were now canvassing for the chiefs to draw up measures for self-government and self-defense. Yes, the term self-government was first used in the Gold Coast for political mobilization in 1868, almost 90 years before independence. A call was made out of Mankesim to all people in Cape Coast and elsewhere to mobilize towards self-government. A newspaper called the Gold Coast Methodist Times offered relevant biblical text for the campaign against the bill. It published on its front page, the day after the bill, the following: "Your land, strangers devour it in your presence." Isaiah 1:7 and Nehemiah 5:2. Other men have our land.
The imperial authority introduced a bill in 1897 to compulsorily acquire all unoccupied land within the Gold Coast, termed then as ownerless land. Resistance to this bill was created by the Aborigines Rights Protection Society. This political party, the first to be established in Ghana, was established on 4th August 1897 in the same year of the bill.
John Mensah Saba became an instant intellectual and political hero when he led the thought that there is no such thing as an ownerless land in the Gold Coast, because land in the Gold Coast belonged to the living, the dead, and the yet to be born. The bill was defeated and a new one with amendments was enacted. By doing so, Saba had saved the Gold Coast and the West African territories of the land issues between Ian Smith and Southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe. That has bedeviled Southern Africa and even persists till this day. John Mensah Saba and the Aborigines Rights Protection Society had solved a colonial and heritage problem by thinking and talking without firing a gun or riots. Saba therefore wrote his name in the Hall of Fame and thought leadership towards self-government.
The activities of the Aborigines Rights Protection Society enabled a better structured campaign against imperial rule. The entire narrative against colonial rule received a significant boost upon the advent of the First World War, which was fought from 1914 to 1918. For instance, a newspaper in the Gold Coast Nation, had in 1915 asked a question on its front page, quote, "What will be the effect on us natives as regards our condition after the war, from the fact that there were so many black races fighting alongside the whites? Is there any difference in the souls of men who willingly have laid down their lives for the glorious British Empire?" Unquote. This matter became topical when news of the hefty compensation that the British soldiers, dead and alive, had received from the government as compared to the paltry sums or nothing at all received by the natives. The response was that in 1918, soon after the war, Governor Clifford had assured the Legislative Council that opportunities for Africans to serve will be extended. The following year, in 1919, 2 Africans were appointed to the executive levels, but not to very senior positions. They were C.A. Wilhouse Bannerman, a barrister, as police magistrate, and Dr. C.E. Randolph as medical officer. Casely Hayford congratulated the government on what he called a tentative step forward. All of these matters occurred pursuant to the Clifford Constitution of 1916.
Well, the Clifford Constitution was also a good one. It was an improvement on, in fact, it was probably one of the first, that attempted to cover the entire territory of the then Gold Coast. And the whole idea was to make it possible for the colonial government to exploit the people of Ghana, the people of the Gold Coast, and the resources of the Gold Coast at that time.
Governor Clifford was also said to have achieved something significant in the economic modeling of cocoa politics. Here is Gareth Austin of Cambridge University.
For him, the success of cocoa farming in Ghana was a vindication for the argument that it was actually in Britain's interests to leave the land entirely in African ownership. And this was the policy he also pursued when he became Governor General of Nigeria. But the success of Ghanaian cocoa farming, which was very largely by the initiative of Ghanaians such as, of course, Teti Kwashi, that was the evidence. And this was not simply a kind of moral argument, it was also an argument about what kind of capitalism, in a sense, works best in West Africa, what kind of economy would best satisfy the colonial government's requirement that it generated enough revenue to exceed its costs.
He used our traditional chiefs as well as intelligentsia, that is the educated amongst us, to distill what was best in terms of development and to make sure that they were properly implemented. So in his time, you could see that many of the big names were, somehow brought into the government through entirely democratic means. I mean, sometimes it was by appointment,
The African leadership was, however, not just interested in picking up posts, but intended that Africans should be highly qualified to accept these posts. Houghton Mills and Casely Hayford had, for instance, urged that Africans and Europeans should be submitted to the same qualification examinations. So was Dr. F.K. Nanka Bruce, a famous medical practitioner who wanted the highest standards to be set by Africans. This atmosphere created a high demand for quality education from all Ghanaian families in the 1920s, such that Governor Clifford was led to remark as follows, quote, "Never in the course of my experience of the tropics have I found a place where the people were so avid of education. The Gold Coast is the only country I fancy where a schoolboy is more anxious to go to school than his parents are to send him," unquote. Thus, by 1920, education became a frontline policy for the colonial government. Governor Gajisbek outlined a 12-plan policy for education to be implemented by an educationist committee whose terms of reference included a long list of detailed matters and whose program of action extended all the way to 1930. The plan was to provide a first-class secondary school, a teacher training college, and a university college. It was the first authentic effort by the colonial authority, the native intellectuals, and the chiefs to provide high-quality education for all children in the Gold Coast. The entire program was given such necessary stimulus upon the arrival of J.E.K. Agri, a Ghanaian from Anomabo, who had spent 20 years studying and teaching in the United States. The foundation of Achimota School was laid in March 1924, and soon thereafter, Reverend Fraser of the Trinity College, Ceylon, was appointed principal. Agri returned to become the vice principal. They both selected the staff, and Agri's eloquence and advocacy towards native education has gained legendary status. Agri it was who said, "If you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation." Kwesi Agri had not just led the making of Achimota, he had sown the seeds of a great people for a great nation.
Kwesi Agri, one of the founders of the Achimota School project, wrote with stunning clarity, and I quote, "Don't tell me what you know, show me what you can do." Fate and fortune have placed us with the responsibility and the penalty of Achimota. The products of Achimota School have always been active vessels in the formation of this nation's history, for better or for worse. We have a legitimate claim to much of what Ghana celebrates and a burden of responsibility for much of what it condemns. 90 years is a long time. It must be a period of some reflection.
So the story of Achimota and the setting up of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital became the epochal occurrences of the 1920s and the 1930s. The story of Achimota continues to make history relevant to today's leadership in Ghana. In this photograph, Reverend R.C. Bloomer was leaving Achimota after being the first principal. He was returning to Australia, and he took a photograph with male and female prefects of July 1939. The lady seated to the right of Reverend Bloomer, circled, is Adelaide. She became Adelaide Akufo-Addo, wife of the second president of Ghana and mother of the 8th president of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. 2 seats from her is the lady in white, now circled, Victoria. She later became Victoria Chematin and is mother of Mr. Alan Chematin, the Minister for Trade and Industry in Ghana.
We launched Fidelity Bank in October 2006, and prior to that, we're a discount house, and it had become clear that there was an opportunity in the market to create a truly world-class Ghanaian bank. And so we set out to create this bank called Fidelity.
In only the first year, we won at the Banking Awards the best growing bank. I think the most significant one has to be the recent one, the Bank of the Year award at the 2016 Banking Awards. We also did very well as Best Bank Trade Deal of the Year. And also the fact that we won the Best Bank for Best Corporate Social Responsibility for 2 consecutive years in 2014 and 2015. The banking industry is evolving and Fidelity is making a difference.
To sustain the development in education and health that he had brought about, Governor Gordon Gudgesberg designed an economic model that will pay for it and also be profitable to the imperial government in London. This model made the Gold Coast a producer of raw materials such as will be controlled and traded by the imperial government. Part of the resources thereof will be applied to pay off the project and the other part to finance the colonial administration. The imperial country will then develop the raw materials to tertiary products and sell to the colony and across the world. Sadly, this kind of model is still the standard nearly 100 years after Gudgesberg.
This Ghana, where we mobilize our own resources for the future, breaking the shackles of the Gudgesberg colonial economy and the mindset of dependency, bailouts and extraction. It is a Ghana beyond aid.
The 1920s ended on a sad note with the death of Casely Hayford, one of the early successful nationalists and founder of the West African National Congress. Casely Hayford was succeeded by Dr. J.B. Dankwa, a lawyer and philosopher who was forced to enter politics to fill the vacuum that Casely Hayford's death had created. He, Dankwa, took over the 1927 Youth Conference and carried the torch of liberation through to 1947, when he met George Alfred Grant, and together they drew up the plan for the national liberation in political terms, being to create self-government in the shortest possible time. One of the major achievements of the Youth Conference under the leadership of Dr. Dankwa was the effort they made to secure a united Gold Coast between the colony and Ashanti. Ashanti is a 300-year-old kingdom in central Ghana. The imperial authority had in 1943 promoted a statute entitled the Ashanti Advisory Council. The purpose of this council was to establish a separate legislative council for the Ashantis. In opposition to this, Dr. Dankwa and the Youth Conference drew up a 400-page memo entitled Things to Change in the Gold Coast and presented it to the joint provincial councils of the Gold Coast, the colony, and the Ashantis. A four-man committee was formed to advise on the constitutional changes. That four-man committee included C.K. Akukosa, A.W. Kojo Thompson, R.S. Blay, and J.B. Dankwa. The result was that the Burns Constitution of 1946, for the first time, regarded Ashanti, then including today's Bunahafo region and part of today's Western region, as part of the colonial territory. The other hero of this effort was the Asantehene, Osei Ajiman Prempeh II, who, upon hearing Dankwa speak on the changes recommended, invited him and 3 others to a meeting in Kumasi to hear out the argument and convince himself that joining the colony was the right thing to do for the new nation. At last, he seemed convinced by Dr. Dankwa's advocacy and agreed that Ashanti should be part of the colony to form the new nation. If the 1946 Burns Constitution had a separate legislative assembly for the Ashantis, independence for Ghana may have been frustrated, and the old colonial strategy propounded by Lord Lugard in Nigeria, called divide and rule, would have impeded the progress of the struggle. But Dr. Dankwa was there at the right time, with the eloquence, the circumstance, and the ceremony to achieve unity under the Burns Constitution of 1946. Thus, the Burns Constitution of July 1946 prescribed direct representation by the Africans, but it was still authoritarian in outlook, and Dr. Dankwa called it outmoded at best. The Gold Coast now seemed ripe for self-government based on the strength of the intelligentsia and a widely educated population, as well as cocoa economics, which gave a healthy balance sheet.
I think the cocoa hold-ups were a very striking demonstration of the economic power of the organised cocoa farming movement, because at the end of the Second World War, Britain had a huge shortage of dollars, having the cost of paying for the Second World War essentially, borrowing a lot from the US and having to repay them, while British industry had been reoriented towards the war. And in this context, the great thing from a British point of view about cocoa was that it earned lots of dollars. The biggest market was the United States. And that meant, I suppose, two things. One was that there was an argument for retaining Ghana as a colony because it was being very useful. On the other hand, it also meant that Ghana was too valuable to take risks with politically.
The momentum around the demand for self-government in Ghana in the 1940s affected the sub-region. Here in this video, prominent Nigerians traveled to London to ask for self-government from the British Imperial Authority.
We have come to the United Kingdom as delegates of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, chosen by our people, in order to demand for a more democratic constitution, to modify 4 laws affecting our lands, minerals and chiefs, and to request the British government to grant us more political responsibility to enable us to take an active part in the management of our affairs within the framework of the British Empire.
These were the very distinguished Nigerians that the world was initially exposed to. They were proud, highly intelligent, and on a mission, both for Nigeria and for Africa. They granted interviews and gave speeches in full agbada, and people took them seriously.
The Guard of Honor is mounted by the Nigeria Regiment, many of whom, like the Queen's husband, wear the Burma Star.
That is why everybody run, run, run. Everybody scatter, scatter. Some people love some.
After the difficulties with the Constitution of 1946, Sir Alan Burns and Lady Burns were recalled to London, and they were replaced by Sir Gerald Creasy and Lady Creasy. By the time of the arrival of Sir Gerald Creasy, the Gold Coast was a modern society and very ready for self-government. The military of the Gold Coast had been well trained for decades and was now ready to defend the Gold Coast by sea, by land or by air. Social life was bustling, and the British and the intelligentsia as well as the chiefs related cordially, attending social functions together all the time in Accra and in Kumasi. Even the football rivalry between Ghana's 2 greatest football clubs, Accra Hearts of Oak and Asante Kotoko, had begun, and it was staged at the very highest level to be seen by governors and some of the most influential people in the society. The outstanding matter in the Gold Coast was then the political machine to achieve self-government. This was created in 1947 on the 4th of August at Salt Pond in consequence of a meeting between Dr. Dankwa and George Alfred Grant, who was a principal initiator of the United Gold Coast Convention, what would become the second political party in Ghana after the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, which was also formed on 4th August 50 years earlier.
He saw that there were so much trouble everywhere, so he wanted the white people to go away. He wanted to sack them. So he called Dankwa and asked him if he could get about 6 lawyer friends of his so that they could sit down together and discuss. I remember some of them. I remember Kwaje, Akwaje, Obichabelamte, Lawyer Blay, Lawyer Williams. They had the meeting at Father's house in the dining room, and we always, the children in the house, when we saw these people coming, big people coming, we line up on the veranda just to see them. We didn't hear what they were saying, but we wanted to see them. So we were all, as soon as they started coming, we all lined up at the corridor there. Surprisingly, when I come on holidays from school at that hotel, they used to have all these meetings and so on. So I enjoyed it.
The leaders of the UGCC continue to enjoy cordiality as they plan to take over the reins of government. It was decided that one of the members of the UGCC was to be a full-timer running as General Secretary to spread the philosophy of the UGCC around the country.
Then Akwaje said he had a friend in London. And Father said, write to him and ask him if he would like to come. And then Akwaje wrote to Kwame Nkrumah, and within a month a letter came to say that he would like to come. So Father gave Akwaje £100 to send to him to come. As soon as he got the money, he came. And Father sent his car to pick him at the harbor, from Takoradi Harbor. And he came and stayed in our house for some time.
My father, Professor Nketia, was a very good friend of Nkrumah. And they were in the African Union together. And they met in London University. My father said that when Nkrumah was coming to Ghana, they met at the dining table and he said, Kwabena, I've been invited to be secretary for UGCC. And he said he was surprised because Nkrumah really did not have Ghana as he said, it was Africa. Anytime they spoke, it was Africa, had a bigger vision. Africa this, Africa must unite, Africa. So when he said he had been brought, Power Grant had brought money for him to buy a ticket. I'm going to Ghana. I was like, really?
Sometime after his arrival, disagreements occurred between Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Dr. J.B. Dankwa in terms of philosophy, in terms of plan, and in terms of action.
When they started their office at Sopol, then Dankwa saw a letter that Kwame Nkrumah has written to the Soviet Union. And he said they didn't want to deal with the Soviet Union, so he shouldn't write to them. At that time, Kwame got upset and stopped talking to Dankwa.
Before the disagreements reached the height, the riots of 28 February 1948 had occurred and had supplied sufficient oxygen to the liberation struggle. The riot itself was sparked by indiscriminate shooting of protesters who sought better retirement conditions after fighting in the Second World War. 3 gallant soldiers, Sergeant Ajete, Corporal Atipo, and Private Odate Lamte and others were killed at the crossroads in Accra. The riots led to the arrest of the leaders of the United Gold Coast Convention, who later became known as the Big Six. The Big Six were thus invited to appear before the Watson Commission that led to the formation of the coups Committee, which was charged to draw up a constitution for the colony to replace the Alan Burns authoritarian constitution. This constitution was to have a fully elected Legislative Assembly of Africans only. The work and publicity around the Kusi Committee was so wide that they were mentioned at every public event, including here at the coronation of King Take Komi in 1948.
The old polo ground at Accra, capital of the Gold Coast colony, British West Africa, is the scene of a memorable occasion in the history of the Ga state. Today, for the first time, a new Ga paramount chief is to be presented to the governor at a durbar. In the past, new chiefs were always introduced to the governor at the official residence, Christiansborg Castle. But now it's a public event. The people of Accra are able to witness a ceremony that is very dear to their hearts. Many chiefs attend the ceremony, each under his state umbrella and wearing his traditional robes. The procession moves to the sound of drums, the firing of rifles, and the chanting of tribal songs. It's a day of rejoicing. The Ga Manche, in whose honor the reception is being held, is on his way. He is Ni Taki Komi II, who was elected to office in December 1948. On one side of the ground sit civil and military officials and their wives, and a large number of guests, both European and African. Among them are the chairman and members of the Kusi Committee. Among them are the chairman and members of the Kusi Committee. Among them are the chairman and members of the Kusi Committee.
The circumstances of history has determined that the 8th president of Ghana is a direct descendant of 3 of the big 6. His father, Edward Akufo-Addo, who was also president of the Second Republic. His maternal uncle, William Ofori-Atta, who unsuccessfully ran for president in the Third Republic, and his granduncle, Dr. J.B. Dankwa, the doyen of Ghana politics.
Kwame Nkrumah and Dr. Dankwa didn't agree at all on some things. But before he left UGCC, unknowingly, he had his secret meetings with some young men, and he schooled them that when they saw Dankwa, they should insult him. So one day, they had a meeting at father's room, and suddenly they heard a lot of noise. So father went to the window to see what was happening. And as soon as they saw father, they stopped the noise. Then when father left the window, they started again. So Dankwa got up and also went to the window. How they insulted him. They had a song that they sang. Shall I sing it? Dankwa, Kwame Nkrumah yawodan. Dankwa, Kwame Nkrumah yawodan. Nyawan wakran mofia buetribaya. Dankwe, Kwame yawodan. Nyawan wakran mofia buetribaya. Dankwe, Kwame yawodan. That's the song they sang that day. And they started hooting at the people who were having a meeting at father's office.
Whilst the Kusi Committee's work was pending to create a constitution for Ghana that would lead to full independence, the disagreements between Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Dr. Dankwa broke the front of the only political party, the United Gold Coast Convention. This led to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in 1949 forming a new political party, the Convention People's Party. It was presented as a mass organization and it won the elections produced out of the constitution in 1951.
Accra, capital of Ghana, went wild with joy when Dr. Nkrumah was released from political imprisonment in 1951. His enthusiastic followers had elected him to power. The independence of the former Gold Coast colony was thereby assured.
Dr. Nkrumah thus formed the first all-African government and became the leader of government business. Upon assuming office as leader of government business, Dr. Dankwa wrote to Nkrumah congratulating him as follows. My dear Kwame, this is a glad occasion. You have fought a good fight and triumphed for the justice of our cause. Your imprisonment and your release are symbolic of the conquest of our imperialism. You may have made mistakes, as even the greatest do, but you have passed through a baptism of fire, a spiritual fire, and you have suffered bodily in the cause of our motherland. May God bless you. Yours sincerely, J.B. Dankwa. But what was the main difference between Dr. Dankwa's self-government in the shortest possible time and Dr. Nkrumah's self-government now? We can find the answer in a letter Dr. Dankwa wrote to Dr. Nkrumah as follows. The ball that was set rolling in Sekondi and Sulpon in 1947 culminated in the Watson Commission of 1948 and the Kusi Committee of 1949. I appeared before both the Commission and the Committee, and the international recognition achieved by me as the doyen of Ghana politics has never been disputed. The Watson Commission recommended that the people of Ghana were fit to achieve independence within 10 years, and this actually happened almost on the dot, namely March 1957, 10 years from my meeting with George Grant. That was the shortest possible time. It could have been made shorter if, for instance, you had accepted my amendment for a declaration of independence as a substitute for your motion of destiny by which you asked the British to grant us self-government. But you rejected my amendment on the ground that we would, if it was accepted, thereby forfeit our British goodwill. Had my motion for declaration of independence been accepted by you, as was the case in the Sudan, we could have had our independence in 1954. That is to say, 110 years after the Bond of March 1844. As it is, the event came in 1957, 113 years after the Bond. But all this is a matter of history. Independence is won at last, and what we do with our mother Ghana, our sweet Ghana, is the heaviest of Ghana's burdens today. So independence in the shortest possible time could have been earlier than independence now. This irony may be resolved by considering the fact that once Dr. Nkrumah had won the elections and led the government in 1951, the narrative about independence now may have changed. Dr. Nkrumah may have wanted more time to determine other matters, especially the geographic makeup of Ghana. Thus came the Togo plebiscite, by which part of Togoland, originally a German territory, but after the Second World War became a French territory, also now became part of the Gold Coast. The 1951, up to the 1954, and even including the 1957 Independence Constitution, were all development-oriented, and Ghana implemented a public and private sector industrialization policy to global admiration.
Then he brought in Arthur Lewis to write for Ghana the first 5-year development plan to guide the economic development of this country. So in his plan, he encouraged the government to set up industries.
Government and private enterprise factories turn out the goods which Ghana needs. This is the Development Corporation's nail factory at Accra. With more and more building, more and more nails. Nails to make fine furniture in another government-sponsored enterprise. Great opportunities exist in many other fields. The international investor will survey possible markets which extend beyond Ghana itself to the vast awakening territories of Africa north of the equator. People want furniture and household articles of all kinds. And moreover, they want the best that their money can buy. In the field of heavy engineering, the Ghanaian worker has proved his ability to master the many skills and techniques necessary. more and more kinds of production are being undertaken, and more articles of every kind are bearing the title Made in Ghana. A good example is the lorry assembly plant at Tema. Here records have been broken by Ghanaians with no previous engineering experience. Production is already double the expected figure, and the workers may be recognized in a new skilled category, to be known as motor assembly technicians. Every day that passes sees another 7 chassis complete. Experience has already shown that in industry, the Ghanaian is an able, cheerful and willing worker with a passion for learning and advancement. Cigarettes, too, are manufactured in Ghana. At the Pioneer Tobacco Company's factory at Takoradi, local leaf, over 50% of it, is blended with imported tobacco to suit all tastes. 550 people are employed, and of the 42 management staff, 17 are Ghanaian. Each of the making machines can turn out 1,250 cigarettes a minute, which, with a bit of arithmetic, gives the plant an output of nearly 10 million cigarettes a day. Apart from its contribution to the consumer market, the company spends some £75,000 a year on developing the local tobacco crop. And in 2 years, output has risen from 17,000 pounds of leaf to over 2 million. A modern canteen serves the workers, and after a good meal is an ideal time to enjoy the results of one's labors. A lot of cigarettes needs a lot of matches, and a lot are made at the Caddy factory, 600,000 gross a day.
The name Ghana, found by Dr. Dankwa, was used as the new name for the new nation. Independence was achieved, and Dr. Nkrumah became the first Prime Minister of the Republic of Ghana.
I, Kwame Nkrumah, do solemnly swear that I will well and truly exercise the functions of the high office of President of Ghana. So help me God.
Star of Africa unfurls. 2 men are waiting to greet the Queen's envoy, arriving to set the seal on Ghana's freedom. Sir Charles Arden Clark, Governor General of Ghana.
And our first Prime Minister, Kwame Nkrumah.
I was then in Legon as a student reading economics, and we had a lot of high-level delegates from all over the world coming to Ghana's independence. I was an aide-de-camp to the Thai ambassador in London who represented Thailand at the independence celebration. We had Nixon representing the United States and many others. But the students in Legon were asked to add as aide-de-camp for these representatives of their country.
Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim. We will be jolly, merry and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day.
I offer my warmest good wishes for the future happiness of Ghana. May God bless and guide your endeavors.
At the State House that night, Princess and prison graduate were dancing together.
One year after independence, the government passed the most obnoxious law in the history of Ghana. It was called the Preventive Detention Act. Many Ghanaians, including frontline opposition members and later even senior government ministers, were arrested under the law or fled the country for safety. Ghana was becoming an unhappy land to dwell in. Fathers were afraid of their friends and were even afraid of their children. Incidentally, and quite controversially, this obnoxious bill was signed into law by the British governor at the time.
I was then a student in Ghana when the Preventive Detention Act was enacted. And 58, 59 academic year, I was the president of coups, Legan. We had passed a resolution condemning the Preventive Detention Act. And I remember Nkrumah was in Lagos, a state visit, when the news came out. It was announced at 1 o'clock news, and Nkrumah happened to be in Lagos. I hear he was extremely annoyed. And when he came back, he asked his education minister to look out for those students and to punish us.
Whilst the dust had not settled on the horrendous application of the Preventive Detention Act, an Act of Parliament received again the governor's assent on the 20th of February 1960 to allow the existing Parliament to constitute itself into a constituent assembly to write a new constitution that would usher Ghana into republican status, with the president who will be given wide-ranging powers. The wide-ranging powers of the president and the fact that Dr. Nkrumah as president had no fixed tenure, no opportunity for a general election, were all captured in Article 10 of the 1960 Constitution. Dr. J.B. Danquah mounted a famous and spirited challenge to the legitimacy of the Preventive Detention Act at the Supreme Court in Ghana, where he locked horns with the Irishman Godfrey Bain, who was at the time Ghana's Attorney General. Dr. Danquah argued that the PDA, as it was called, was an anti-human rights law and therefore needs to be outlawed and expunged from the books. He argued further that the president's solemn oath of office to protect all Ghanaians and not to discriminate on grounds of politics was to be construed by the court as a Bill of Rights. The court, however, upheld the argument of the Attorney General and held that to the extent that the law had been passed as an act of parliament, it was superior to the Constitution. The court further held that the president's solemn declaration did not constitute a Bill of Rights. Later on, Dr. Danquah was arrested under the PDA and was sadly to die in prison. The doyen of Ghana politics, the man whose intellectual industry brought Ashanti and the colony together to form the new nation, and the man to whom the new nation owed its name, died in prison, suspected to be an enemy of the nation that he had helped to create. By 1964, Ghana was now a one-party state. Most of the president's focus was on continental and global affairs. The ambition towards African unity had consumed the best energies of Dr. Nkrumah's government. On the 24th of February 1966, while the president was away on an international trip, the soldiers and police struck to remove Dr. Nkrumah. The first coup d'etat in Ghana had been recorded on 24th February 1966. The coup was led by a military general named Kotoka.
Newspaper headlines report the spectacular overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, and jubilant crowds celebrate his downfall in the streets of Accra. The military coup in Ghana is the 7th successful revolt in Africa in 9 months. But none of the ousted governments have survived as long as Kwame Nkrumah.
leader, General Arthur Ankra, father of 22 and former mission schoolteacher, a man who's never concealed his dislike of Nkrumah. Before dealing with Mr. Amir, he had more important business.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to introduce my colleagues to you, some of the members of the National Liberation Council. As you've already been told, I need no introduction myself. But on my left here is the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Harley, who is the Deputy Chairman of the National Liberation Council. On my right is Major General E.K. Kotoka, who is the second member or the first member of the National Liberation Council. We have called you here this morning for one specific reason, and that is this coup was carried out completely because of the things that had happened in Ghana and because of the tyranny and the populism of Kwame Nkrumah, the deposed president. Everybody in Ghana was fed up with it. And therefore you could see the spontaneous result which followed the coup. You would have seen when you were coming probably thinking that Ghana would have been put under curfew or all other things, but nothing was done. There was no brain behind it. It was work from us and from within, without the aid of anybody, any foreign country or any country.
The coup leaders prepared Ghana towards the Second Republic and the new constitution. Under the constitution, elections were held under the universal adult suffrage. Dr. Nkrumah's party, the CPP, was however banned from participating in the election. The results led to the swearing-in of Prime Minister Kofi Abrefa-Busia, a professor in sociology from Oxford University, and President Akufo-Addo, who had been Chief Justice and also an alumni of Oxford University.
We cannot be economically independent unless the economy of Ghana and the whole financial network is to a large extent in the hands of Ghanaians themselves.
My Lord Chief Justice, Commissioners, Nananum, Your Excellencies, Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Dr. Kofi Abrefa-Busia, by the grace of God, Prime Minister of the Second Republic of Ghana, and request all manner of persons to recognize and acknowledge him as such. I now request the Chief of State to read the instrument appointing Dr. Busia as Prime Minister.
The government of the Second Republic was soon overthrown by a coup d'etat, which led Ghana to the Third Republic.
Long live the Ghana Armed Forces. Long live the revolution. Long live the National Redemption Council. Long live Ghana. As you go home, remember that the revolution continues unaffected.
The Third Republic Constitution produced an election which was won in the second round by Dr. Hilary Mann, a Foreign Service top official and who had also graduated from the School of Oriental and African Studies, SOAS, at the University of London.
And to do right to all in this manner of self-rule. I further solemnly swear that should I.
The Third Republican Constitution was also overthrown, and then came the Fourth Republican Constitution, which has now produced 5 presidents. The first president was Flight Lieutenant Rawlins. Mr. Rawlins gave sufficient stability to constitutional rule. Next was Mr. J.A. Kufuor, another Oxford alumni, who recorded high economic growth, growing the country's GDP from 4 billion to 16 billion, and also significantly discovering oil for Ghana. The next was Professor Mills, another graduate from SOAS, who was an apostle of peace. He produced first oil for Ghana, but Professor Mills was to sadly die in office. President John Dramani Mahama became the fourth president after Mills and was the first to win an election upon the first attempt after Flight Lieutenant Rawlins. The acceptance of constitutional rule now seems to be a part of Ghanaian life. Some people believe that the constitution, having been sufficiently tested on few occasions, had stood the test of time and had gained the confidence of the people.
Well, you know, the 1992 Constitution was crafted in circumstances where we are undergoing a transition from military and autocratic rule to democracy and constitutional rule. So there are many people who feel that it was influenced a lot by Rawlins. So there are, it's not transparent and inclusive. In most cases, the president appoints in consultation with the Council of State. The Council of State, many people feel it's more or less a lame duck. Nobody knows how it operates. 11 of its members are selected by the president, and nobody knows what advice it gives to the president and whether the president accepts its advice or not.
The other major challenge is the election petition of 2012. After the elections of 2012, the losing candidate decided to test the constitution and to file a petition against the declaration of his opponent as the winner of the election. The petition dragged for 8 months, and eventually a verdict was given in favor of the announced winner, President Mahama. The losing candidate did not appeal against the ruling. Instead, he gave a widely applauded concession speech.
In the circumstances, the overall effect is that the first respondent was validly elected and the petition is therefore dismissed. Our various judgments, for the sake of convenience, are handed over to the registrar of this court.
Whilst I disagree with the court's decision, I accept it. I accept that what the court says brings finality to the election dispute. We shall not be asking for a review of the verdict so we can all move on in the interest of our nation. Everything in my bones, in my upbringing, and in what I have done with my life thus far makes it imperative that I accept a decision made by the highest court of the land, however much I dislike or disagree with it.
Eventually, as fate would have it, the losing candidate was to be elected in the 2016 election in a landslide victory to become the 5th president under the new constitution.
The president, as I've known him for several years, is somebody who exhibits sheer tenacity. He's a very determined man, and the spirit of can-do, the whole notion that nothing can be done once you put your mind to it. And over the years that I've known him, he's been somebody who's made references to his uncle, J.B. Dankwa, to his father and mother, and the fact that they kept telling him that when you do one thing and you are not successful, you do it again, you try again, and you stay determined and get it done. So the whole notion and spirit of can-do, having the capacity and the belief that if you put your mind to something, you will be able to do it. There's one thing that I believe, which is about him, which has inspired a lot of us who followed him over the years. And it's a spirit and an attitude which motivates young men and women who've had an association with him.
I, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
That I will bear true faith.
That I will bear true faith.
And allegiance to the Republic of Ghana.
There is not much more I can say on the subject beyond wishing the government of Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo well in this regard. He does not seem to lack much in terms of cerebral capacity. Success, however, will turn on how much his government can convert that cerebral capacity of his and of his team into impactful action.
That should I at any time break this oath of office,
I shall submit myself.
I shall submit myself
to the laws of the Republic of Ghana.
To the laws of the Republic of Ghana.
And suffer the penalty for it.
And suffer the penalty for it.
So help me God.
So help me God.
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. BetSaver.
In an era where fire safety is paramount, Kabori Film Compound Technologies Limited stands out as a leader in the development of innovative fire dousing solutions. With a focus on aqueous film forming foam, the company provides a cutting-edge product that significantly enhances fire suppression capabilities across various sectors, including maritime, industrial and emergency response.
The oil and gas sector, along with chemical manufacturing facilities and fire services.
Kabori's advanced film technology offers a more efficient and environmentally responsible alternative.
Kabori is recognized for its superior extinguishing capabilities and prolonged resistance to reignition. Kabori's product is certified by the Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Standards Authority, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Nigerian Standards Organization.
Kabori Film Compound Limited is situated in Nsawam, within the eastern region of Ghana. For inquiries, reach out to them on 0245-885-288 or 0244-514-048. You may also contact them via email at info@kaborifilm.com. Kabori Film Compound Technologies Limited, providing film compound solutions to help institutions.
Mommy.
Michelle say. Fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Cal Chocolate Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Cal Chocolate Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Cal Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my friends. My name is Cal Kids Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Cal Kids, happy smile.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Attention all farmers, are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP and IRICOP brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A, KCAP Equiafua Jinkwa, and the IRICOP with cocoa blends, palm blend and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose ACAP, KCAP, and IRICOP organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by COCOBOD, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Yes.